Good morning. Good morning and welcome to Bible Appetizers. The purpose of this Bible study is to whet your appetite for the Word of God, to inspire you to take the Bible and read it for yourself and let the Lord speak to you as He shares with me thoughts that I can apply to myself and to others. The Lord will share thoughts that you can apply to your own life. So today we start with Numbers, the 15th chapter. And I'll read, and as the Lord gives me inspiration, I'll share what comes to my mind, my heart, and we can go from there. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, after you enter the land I am giving you as a home, and you present to the Lord food offerings from the herd of the flock as an aroma pleasing to the Lord, whether burnt offerings or sacrifices for special vows or freewill offerings or festival offerings. Then the person who brings an offering shall present to the Lord a grain offering of a tenth of an ephah of the finest flour, mixed with a quarter of a hin of olive oil." Now, God is very specific about how they're supposed to bring their sacrifices. This is about obedience. This is about the fact that God is holy and He decides how He wants things done. You can't just bring anything to the Lord. You can't just treat God with contempt. You've got to bring the best that you have because He deserves the best. With each lamb for the burnt offering or the sacrifice, prepare a quarter of a hin of wine as a drink offering. With a ram, prepare a grain offering of 2/10 of an ephah of the finest flour mixed with a third of a hin of olive oil and a third of a hin of wine as a drink offering. Offer it as an aroma pleasing to the Lord. When you prepare a young bull as a burnt offering or sacrifice for a special vow or a fellowship offering to the Lord, bring with the bull a grain offering of 3/10 of an ephah of the finest flour mixed with half a hin of olive oil. And also bring half a hin of wine as a drink offering. This will be a good offering, an aroma pleasing to the Lord. Each bull or ram, each lamb or young goat is to be prepared in this manner. Do this for each one for as many as you prepare. So God is giving specific instructions about how He wants things to be presented to Him. All right, and again, this is about obedience. This is about being willing to follow instructions. Everyone who is native born must do these things in this way when they present a food offering as an aroma pleasing to the Lord. For the generations to come, whenever a foreigner or anyone else living among you presents a food offering as an aroma pleasing to the Lord, they must do exactly as you do. The community is to have the same rules for you and for the foreigner residing among you. This is a lasting ordinance for the generations to come. You and the foreigner shall be the same before the Lord. The same laws and regulations will apply both to you and to the foreigner residing among you. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, when you enter the land to which I am taking you, and you eat the food of the land, present a portion as an offering to the Lord. Present a loaf from the finest of your ground meal, and present it as an offering from the threshing floor. Throughout the generations to come, you are to give this offering to the Lord from the first of your ground meal." God is to be first, and He deserves no less. Now, if you as a community unintentionally fail to keep any of these commands the Lord gave Moses, any of the Lord's commands to you through him, from the day the Lord gave them and continuing through the generations to come, and if this is done unintentionally without the community being aware of it, then the whole community is to offer a young bull for a burnt offering as an aroma pleasing to the Lord, along with its prescribed grain offering and drink offering, and a male goat for a sin offering. So when you sin by omission, you're not aware that you're sinning. You're still sinning. And so God is showing here that, even when you sin unintentionally, there are ways to remedy that sin. But sin is sin. Disobedience is disobedience, even if the person was not aware of it. But God is not picky. And so he made provisions for us to be able to come back into relationship with him if we mess up. The priest is to make atonement for the whole Israelite community, and they will be forgiven. For it was not intentional, and they have presented to the Lord their wrong food offering and a sin offering. The whole Israelite community and the foreigners residing among them will be forgiven, because all the people were involved in the unintentional wrong. But if just one person sins unintentionally, that person must bring a year-old female goat for a sin offering. The priest is to make atonement before the Lord for the one who erred by sinning unintentionally, and when atonement has been made, the person will be forgiven. But they're not forgiven before then. They're forgiven after atonement has been made. One and the same law applies to everyone who sins unintentionally, whether a native-born Israelite or a foreigner residing among you. You notice how God is making allowance for the foreigner, because the Israelites were foreigners among the Egyptians, and they mistreated them. And God is saying, "Look, you were foreigners, and you saw how your taskmasters were with you. I don't want you to do that to your foreigners. People are going to come to you because of me, and I want you to treat them just like you treat yourself." And that's why we can't just, the aliens that come to our country. I understand we can't just have everybody come to the United States. I understand that perfectly. But people come to the United States a lot of times because that's the only place they have hope. And it can't just be black and white. Oh, well, you don't have any papers, so you're gonna go back. You're gonna go back to your country where you come from, even if you have not been there in 10 years or 20 years. Come on, where's where's the compassion? Where's the mercy? You cannot mistreat people, because whatever it is that you do to others is going to get done to you. You're going to reap what you sow. But anyone who sins defiantly, whether a native born or foreigner, blasphemes the Lord and must be cut off from the people of Israel, because they have despised the Lord's word and broken his commands. They must surely be cut off. Their guilt remains on them. So, people a lot of people grow up in church, and they knew about the Lord, and then they turn their backs on the Lord. That's defiant. That's contempt. And in the past they'd be cut off, but because of Jesus, it is only because of his mercy that we are not consumed. And so this is the time when people are defiant against God. They come right out and say, "I'm an atheist. I don't believe in no God, blah, 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 this and that, the other." It's only because of God's mercy and because of Christ's death on that cross that we are not wiped out. When we presume to deal with God with contempt, gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. God is not vengeful, but he's not to be trifled with. While the Israelites were in the wilderness, a man was found gathering wood on the Sabbath day. Those who found him gathering wood brought him to Moses and Aaron and the whole assembly. And they kept him in custody because it was not clear what should be done to him. Then the Lord said to Moses, "The man must die. The whole assembly must stone him outside the camp." So the assembly took him outside the camp and stoned him to death as the Lord commanded Moses. Okay? If the law was the only thing, there would be no mercy. Because if you violate the law, and you violate the law, and you have to pay for it. You violate the law, you violate the law, and you have to pay for it. You violate the law, you violate the law, and you have to pay for it. You violate the law, you violate the law, and you have to pay for it. You violate the law, you violate the law, and you have to pay for it. You violate the law, you violate the law, and you have to pay for it. You violate the law, you violate the law, and you have to pay for it. You violate the law, you violate the law, and you have to pay for it. You violate the law, you violate the law, and you have to pay for it. You violate the law, you violate the law, and you have to pay for it. You violate the law, you violate the law, and you have to pay for it. You violate the law, you violate the law, and you have to pay for it. You violate the law, you violate the law, and you have to pay for it. You violate the law, you violate the law, and you have to pay for it. You violate the law, you violate the law, and you have to pay for it. You violate the law, you but because of Jesus. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and say to them, throughout the generations to come, you are to make tassels on the corners of your garments with a blue cord on each tassel. You will use these tassels to look at, and so you will remember all the commands of the Lord, that you may obey them and not prostitute yourselves by chasing after the lust of your own hearts and eyes. Then you will remember to obey all my commands and will be consecrated to your God. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord your God." God is establishing himself with the people of Israel, letting them know, I have chosen you to be your God. And so as your God, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to look after you. But understand, I have rules and I have standards that you must meet. Many leaders, okay. Chapter 16, Korah, son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and certain Reubenites, Dathan and Abiram, sons of Eliab, and On, son of Peleth, became insolent and rose up against Moses. With them were 250 Israelite men, well-known community leaders who had been appointed members of the council. They came up as a group to oppose Moses and Aaron and said to them, "You have gone too far. The whole community is holy, every one of them, and the Lord is with them. Why then do you set yourselves above the Lord's assembly?" When Moses heard this, he fell face down. Then he said to Korah and his followers, "In the morning the Lord will show who belongs to him and who is holy, and he will have that person come near him. The man who he chooses, he will cause to come near him. You, Korah, and all your followers are to do this. Take censers, and tomorrow put burning coals and incense in them before the Lord. The man the Lord chooses will be the one who is holy. You Levites have gone too far." So these guys started reading their own press clippings, and their leadership position got to their heads, and so they came to Moses as a commission, as a committee. You know what a camel is, right? A camel is a horse built by a committee. They came and form a committee. They want to tell Moses, "Hey, you're going too far. We're all holy too. And who made you the boss?" And they saw God appoint Moses. They saw God come down and talk to Moses in the tent of meeting. They saw it. But familiarity breeds contempt. Been around Moses all this time. Moses is a humble man. He was not presumptuous. He was not trying to be a big shot. So they minimized him. Moses said to Korah, "Now listen, you Levites, isn't it enough for you that the God of Israel has separated you from the rest of the Israelite community and brought you near himself to do the work at the Lord's tabernacle and to stand before the community and to minister to them? Isn't that enough? Or you want more power? He has brought you and all your fellow Levites near himself, but now you are trying to get the priesthood too? It is against the Lord that you and all your followers have banded together. Who is Aaron that you should grumble against him?" Then Moses summoned Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab. But they said, "We will not come." Oh, okay. Isn't it enough that you have brought us up out of the land of flowing, brought us up out of a land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness? So they're saying, you brought us out of a land of flowing with milk and honey, talking about Egypt, where they were slaves. You brought us out there to bring us out in the wilderness to kill us. And now you also want to lord it over us? You brought us out here to kill us, So God had nothing to do with it. These guys were supposed to be the priests. They're supposed to be the Levite tribe. These are the ones that are committed to God. These are the ones that serve at the altar. These are the ones that do all the things that God commands. And all of a sudden now, they don't even acknowledge God. They say, Moses, you the one did it. You and Aaron, who made you guys boss? So God has nothing to do with it. You want to lord it over us. Moreover, you haven't brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey, or given us an inheritance of fields and vineyards. Do you want to treat these men like slaves? No, we will not come. Then Moses became very angry and said to the Lord, do not accept their offering. I have not taken so much as a donkey from them, nor have I wronged any of them. Moses said to Korah, you and all your followers are to appear before the Lord tomorrow, you and they and Aaron. Each man is to take his censer and put incense in it, 250 censers in all, and present it before the Lord. You and Aaron are to present your censers also. So each of them took his censer, put burning coals and incense in it, and stood with Moses and Aaron at the entrance to the tent of meeting. When Korah had gathered all his followers in opposition to them at the entrance to the tent of meeting, the glory of the Lord appeared to the entire assembly. God comes down now to judge. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, separate yourself from this assembly so I can put an end to them at once. But Moses and Aaron fell face down and cried out, oh God, the God who gives breath to all living things. Will you be angry with the entire assembly when only one man sins? Then the Lord said to Moses, say to the assembly, move away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Moses got up and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of the Israel followed him. He warned the assembly, move back from the tents of these wicked men. Do not touch anything belonging to them, or you will be swept away because of their sins. So they moved away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Dathan and Abiram had come out and were standing with their wives, children, and little ones at the entrance to the tents. Then Moses says, this is how you will know that the Lord has sent me to do all these things, and that it was not my idea. If these men die not a natural death and suffer the fate of all mankind, then the Lord has not sent me. But if the Lord brings about something totally new, and the earth opens up its mouth and swallows them with everything that belongs to them, and they go down alive into the realm of the dead, then you will know that these men have treated the Lord with contempt. Right. You treated God with contempt. As soon as he finished saying all this, the ground opened under them, split apart, and the earth opened up its mouth and swallowed them and their households and all those associated with Korah, together with their possessions. They went down alive into the realm of the dead with everything they owned. The earth closed over them, and they perished and were gone from the community. At their cities, at their cries, all the Israelites around them fled, shouting, the earth is going to swallow us up too. And the fire came from out from the Lord and consumed the 250 men who were offering the incense. The Lord said to Moses, tell Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, to remove the censers from the charred remains and scatter the coals some distance away, for the censers are holy, the censers of the men who sinned at the cost of their lives. Hammer the censers into sheets to overlay the altar, for they were presented before the Lord and have become holy. Let them be a sign to the Israelites. Don't mess with me. The earth opened up, swallowed. Now these people brought trouble on their families, their children, everything. Oh, earth opened up, swallowed up the house, the kids, the wife, everything. Is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of a living God. That's what the Bible says. Were it not for Jesus, many more would have been swallowed up. Who knows? I probably would have been swallowed up. because I did treat God with contempt at some point in my life, out of ignorance, not understanding. All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. It's a good thing that there was an Easter and a Good Friday and an Easter, because Jesus paid that penalty for all of us. And God has made it so easy for us to come to him if we'll acknowledge the sacrifice that he made through Jesus Christ. That's it. Accept it, believe it, surrender to him. He will take it from there and make our lives what we could never make it. So Eleazar the priest collected the bronze censers brought by those who had been burned to death, and he had them hammered out to overlay the altar, as the Lord directed him through Moses. This was to remind the Israelites that no one except a descendant of Aaron should come to burn incense before the Lord, or he would become like Korah and his followers. The next day, the whole Israelite community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. You have killed the Lord's people. They said, no, Moses didn't do a thing. The fire came out from God and wiped them out. They're telling Moses and Aaron, you have killed God's people. Again, God had nothing to do with it, although they saw. They treat God with contempt. Man, we're looking around at our world, we see all the wonders of our world, the wonders of the universe. The scientists look all the way past past the sun and all the planets and all into the universe and come back and say there is no God. That's called contempt. And even so, God forbears and he gives them chances. But if they don't repent, they're going to find out whether there's a God or not. When the assembly gathered in the position of Moses and Aaron, but when the assembly gathered in opposition of Moses and Aaron and turned toward the tent of meeting, suddenly the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord appeared. Then Moses and Aaron went to the front of the tent of meeting, and the Lord said to Moses, get away from this assembly so I can put an end to them at once. And they fell face down. Again, standing in the gap between God and a rebellious people. Then Moses said to Aaron, take your censer and put incense in it along with burning coals from the altar, and hurry to the assembly to make atonement for them. Wrath has come out from the Lord. The plague has started. So Aaron did as Moses said and ran into the midst of the assembly. The plague had already started among the people, but Aaron offered the incense and made atonement for them. He stood between the living and the dead, and the plague stopped. About 14,700 people died from the plague, in addition to those who had died because of Korah. You're gonna run your mouth? You're gonna come up against God? You don't want to mess with me. Then Aaron returned to Moses at the entrance of the tent of meeting, but for the plague had stopped. God said, get out of the way. I'm gonna wipe them all out. And they started to do it. Moses and Aaron had to run interference. Otherwise, they would have millions of them would have been wiped out. It is a fearful thing to fall in the hands of the living God. But yet God, that's not what he wanted to do. That's not what he wanted to do. And so those of us who are running our mouths and talking about he doesn't exist and this and that, you're treating God with contempt. Better consider your ways. Consider your ways. You do not want to be on the wrong side of God. You better do your homework. I mean, it's plain that this is not happenstance. The best we can come up with, best our scientists can come up with is happenstance and circumstance. Come on. There has to be an initial cause. It just makes sense. You go outside and you look at a flower. It didn't exist 2 months ago. Now it's nice and big and luscious. We're breathing in oxygen and putting out carbon dioxide or whatever, and then they're breathing that in. And Come on. That's that symbiotic relationship. All the stuff that's going on, the relationship between the sun and the stars and the planet, and it works perfectly. And you have the audacity to say, oh, it happens sense and circumstance. Come on. Do not treat God with contempt. You're seeing the result, how God could be, and how judgment is going to be if we continue to treat God with contempt. God said, I'm giving you all the opportunity. See, I'm giving you all the opportunity in the world. Take advantage of it, because I'm not gonna hold up for long. The Lord said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and get 12 staffs from them, one from the leader of each of their ancestral tribes. Write the name of each man on his staff. On the staff of Levi, write Aaron's name. But there must be one staff for the head of each ancestral tribe. Place them in the tent of meeting in front of the ark of the covenant law. When I meet with you, where I meet with you, the staff belonging to the man I choose will sprout and will and I will rid myself of this constant grumbling against you by the Israelites. So Moses spoke to the Israelites and their leaders, and their leaders gave him 12 staffs, one for the leader of each of their ancestral tribes, and Aaron's staff was among them. Moses placed the staffs before the Lord in the tent of the covenant law. The next day, Moses entered the tent and saw that Aaron's staff, which represented the tribe of Levi, had not only sprouted, but had budded, blossomed, and produced almonds. Ha! God can do anything. When Moses brought out all the staffs from the Lord's presence to all the Israelites, they looked at them, and each of the leaders took his own staff. The Lord said to Moses, put back Aaron's staff in front of the ark of the covenant law, to be kept as a sign to the knuckleheads, rebellious, it says here. This will put an end to their grumbling against me, so that they will not die. Moses did just as the Lord commanded him. The Israelites said to Moses, we will die. We are lost. We are all lost. Anyone who comes near the tabernacle of the Lord will die. Are we all going to die? So all of a sudden now they figured out God is not to be trifled with. Now they become afraid of him. God doesn't want us to be afraid of him. God does not want us to be fearful of him, but God wants us to recognize who he is and treat him with the respect he deserves. He wants our respect, and he wants our love. He's giving us his love. He's not just saying, you must love me. No, he is giving us his love. He is pouring out his love on us. And if we want to be ungrateful about that, he has a problem with that. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Gave him up. I might love other people, but I ain't giving up my children for anybody. I'm sorry. I might die for you, but I'm not putting my child on an altar to die for anybody. But God, who is all love, I can't love my children more than God loved his only begotten son. Yet he made that sacrifice so that he could bring the rest of us knuckleheads closer to him. The more we get to understand God, the more we should be falling in love with him. I don't have to force anybody to do that. Nobody has to force me to do that. The more I understand him, the more I want to serve him, the more I want to be close to him. Why? Because he continues to give and give and give and bless and bless and bless. So here, rebellion against God. And God proves to them again. This is not Aaron and Moses. This is me. And every rebellion you do against them, you're doing against me. All right. So this is the end of chapter 17. And we will pick it up chapter 18 on our next study. May God richly bless you, and you have a good day.